Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're calling from. This is a very sick Chuck. I seem to have gotten a summer cold. So you're going to have to put up with a little bit of hacking and coughing and sniffling. I apologize for that up front. Also want to apologize for Siva, who actually is not going to be able to do the presentation as scheduled. He was actually going to be the person that was going to deliver the best practices from the operations team. Unfortunately, his wife needed to have surgery, and he is out taking care of her. So best wishes to Siva, and speedy recovery to his wife. Now, fortunately for you guys, when we scheduled this, we hadn't done this presentation of best practices for operations. But since then, Siri has gone to Australia with me and delivered that session actually in Australia. So in the chat window for this video, you'll actually see a link to the best practices session that Siva was going to deliver, and Siri actually did. Now, Siri and Brandon from our operations teams are actually online to help out with the Q&A. But what I thought I would do, since we actually have already delivered the best practices session, is go through what's new and exciting in terms of Power BI in general, and definitely focus on, since this is supposed to be in operations, the admin and operations side of the house. So hopefully you guys can see my desktop. I'm going to take a second and make sure that you guys can hear me and you guys can see my desktop. So if I can get somebody to chat in the chat window that they can see me, I see that there's 30 people online. That would be great. So somebody? Hans, are you and your 214 members from Norway? Are you guys listening? Can you guys hear me okay? Well, let's assume that we can. And what? Okay, James, thank you, and Prasad. Okay, good. Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. So I got a couple people that have got it. Diego says he's got it. And what you're seeing is actually a brand new version of my Power BI desktop report that shows all of the features that we've shipped since release. So we've actually added 902 features since release. Now, there's no way I can actually just cover what we did last month. So if I actually take this slider out, to last month, you see that we've done 48. 12 is actually for next month. Amanda is actually working on that blog post right now. But you'll see that there's 48. You guys, if you actually want to see what they all are, if you go ahead and go to the first tab, you'll see that there's a hyperlink to every one of those features. And if you want the PBIX itself, I actually have gone ahead and uploaded that to the community portal itself. So if you actually want to download the PBIX, or if you want to look at a live version of it, you can actually get that right there. But let's go ahead and dig into a couple of the desktop features, my favorite, and spend most of the time on operations and administration, as you kind of promised. So right off the bat, if we go ahead and take a look at, let's go back to my desktop file. There we go. And maximize so I can see it. So one of my favorite features is the brand new color bars in the table itself. Let's see if I have a desktop report that's already loaded that has a table in it. This is from our dashboard in a day training. And here's a table right here. So if I go ahead and select one of these custom visuals, one of the columns in this table visual, you can actually see that there is something called conditional formatting. And where there used to be color scales before, there is now data bars as well. And I can go ahead and actually see the data bar exactly as you would see it in Excel right there. The other of my favorite features of the, whatever the number was, 22, that the desktop team has shipped, is actually themes for the maps. So actually the big map has been updated quite a bit. There's a new encoder as far as determining when you type in a text date where it thinks it finds it. But we've also actually added the ability for you to use the themes itself. So by default, it's set to road, and there's actually a brand new aerial theme. So I can go ahead and drill into this, and I can scroll over to Washington, and I could probably actually find my own house. If I could actually scroll, you guys get the idea. I live right in here somewhere. Yeah, out there. Okay, so those are my two favorite desktop features. There are 20 other for you to look at. Oh, I did want to show one other that actually talks about administration, because usually you don't think of administration in Power BI Desktop. But in June, we didn't even actually put a blog post on it. We actually changed the compression to Express X90, I think it is. So if I go ahead and open up my file manager and go ahead and find us a report. Let's just go ahead and here's one. It's 10 megabytes right now. So I haven't tried this one with the Twitter solution templates, but if I go out and just simply open this Twitter solution, again, it's not even there's no blog post or anything, but it's pretty cool. And I go out and save this. Let's actually see if I can actually move this. So it's 10 megabytes, and if I save this, say apply later, what we should see is actually it dropped down from 10 megabytes to 6 megabytes. This is pretty cool if you guys are running into the capacity limits of PowerBI.com with its 1 gigabyte limit for our desktop files. Okay, so I'm hoping that people are helping me out with the Q&A window. It looks like Luis has got a question. Cannot wait for custom map format support. Ariel is still interested. Right. So, Luis, what you're going to have to do for some of the more advanced mapping formats is use the Esri maps. They're the class leaders of that, and they do have lots and lots of different themes. So, those are my favorite desktop features. Now, if we go ahead and open up the the PowerBI.com, open up that same report. Let's see if we can actually open up the same report. It should look the same. And scroll over up into desktop. Let's see if there's anything else here. I don't think so. I think that I'll leave the rest to you. Mobile and gateway, they haven't announced anything in the last 2 months, and I think we actually took a look at it 2 months ago. So we're probably good there. But what's new in service? 36 new things new features in the last 3 months. Now, typically, if there's any confusion or if there's it can go into places, I will put them underneath of the service. So there are things that may not be PowerBI.com specific. Like, for instance, we announced that there is a Power BI report server for on-premise solutions. So we introduced that back in May. So you actually see that in this list back in May. And we actually announced at the Microsoft Data Insight Summit that we actually have made that generally available as part of the premium announcement as well. So there are things that you might squint a little bit and say, hey, that's not exactly PowerBI.com. So again, I only had 5 buckets, and anything that could go in multiple buckets, I put actually in the service. So again, report server preview available, report server generally available. And if you click on these links, by the way, if you didn't know, back in April, we actually changed it where you had to have the hyperlink to where you can now display the icon. So this is actually something relatively new as well. But if I go ahead and click on the hyperlink in my report, you'll actually see it takes you back into the announcement and more detail about the Power BI report server itself. So what else? Let's drill into the administration feature. So there are 12 new things for administration around PowerBI.com. Now, I actually was lucky enough at the Data Insight Summit to sit down with a bunch of different customers and say, what is it that is top of mind for you? And a lot of this list came from that. So SOC compliance. I don't know if you guys read my Twitter feed or not, but PowerBI.com, or sorry, Power BI as part of the Azure service offering is now SOC compliant, 1, 2, and 3. And here's that report itself. It's also available from the trust centers. So that's pretty exciting news. If we go ahead and take a look at, actually, let's see if I can remove that filter. Set enterprise controls itself. So we can actually now have much more granularity over the controls themselves. So if I go ahead and go back into my settings, go to the admin portal, you'll see that one of the things that we've changed is under the tenant settings, I actually have fine fidelity as far as what content can I share and actually who can I have access. So it's not just enabled, disabled. I actually can now limit it to particular people. So that's actually a new feature that Siri and his team just introduced. So again, I think Siri and Brendan, actually I see Brendan is answering the questions as well. So thanks for joining, Brandon. I appreciate you jumping out of the review that you guys were scheduled for. The other thing that people asked a lot of questions about, we're taking a look and seeing some demos around the premium settings itself, or the premium capacity, where I could go out and have a dedicated capacity for Power BI just dedicated to myself. So I don't have to fight with anybody. I don't have to actually share it. It's mine. Now, this is a bug. The team is fixing it. It's actually already been rolled out in South Central, and it's getting rolled out in West and East US today, I believe. So Brandon can verify that. But this, where it says memory thrashing is critical, that's actually a bug, and we're not running into that state, but they will have that fixed today. So here's all the app workspaces that are in my premium capacity. So what does that look like? What does that mean to have a premium capacity? And how do I actually take advantage of sharing that with people that might not have Power BI licenses? So I actually have this workspace called Pug Demo 2. Pug Demo 2 is not in a premium capacity. I can go ahead and modify this. Where are my workspaces? Here we go. Pug Demo 2. And go ahead and choose Edit Workspace. And I can go ahead and add it to a premium capacity. I'm not going to. If I had multiple ones, I could actually choose them. But in this case, I only have one. But I'm going to show you what it looks like to not have a premium capacity and actually have a user without a license access that. So let's go ahead and go back into my Pug Demo 2 and say Update App. And this is where actually I would publish my applications. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that app URL. See if I can actually do that. There we go. Control A, Control C. And this is my published app. Actually, let's just go ahead and update it. That way it'll give me the proper URL or a much better experience. So I now have that copied. What I'm going to do is I'm going to Alt-Tab to another browser. And I have a browser right here. And the person logged into this browser is called Free User. So who's this? This guy. Let's actually close this. This person is logged in as Chaz. He has a license. This person is free user. As the name would suggest, it doesn't have access. It doesn't have a Power BI professional license. He is a free user. When I go ahead and try to access that application, it goes out and says, hey, you don't have a license. Would you want to go ahead and try trial, or would you like to upgrade your account? But regardless, without having a license, he's not going to be able to see that content. Now, if I go ahead and dismiss this and go back into a workspace like my Pug demo that does exist inside of it, I go ahead and choose Update App, choose Access, Update App again, Update, and choose Copy, Alt-Tab back into my free user, right? So he's still free user. And I give it that URL. These are the same reports, the same dashboards, the same data. The only difference is one app workspace is in a premium capacity and the other one is not. Hopefully that will make some sense. Now, the next thing people would want to know is, how do I know how many reports or how many people are using them? How do I know if my capacity is at capacity, or if maybe I should actually invest in some of my reports because they're getting used more often? So what Siri's done is, actually last month he's introduced the concept of having usage reports that aren't tied to the Power BI administrator. So let's actually show you those that the Power BI administrator would have access to. So I can go out and take a look at the usage reports across my tenant. So I have 89 dashboards in this tenant, and I have 118 user reports, and I have 120 data sets, etc. You get the idea. But you must be a Power BI administrator in order to see this. And this was, I think, 3 months ago. Is actually maybe longer. Actually, this may have been before Christmas. So 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Now, what we've introduced, because we've said, hey, or several customers said, hey, I don't have access to the administrator account. Can you give me usage reports? And the answer, of course, is yes. So if I go ahead and open up one of these reports that I'm an owner of, I can go ahead and take a look at my dashboard usage metrics. And I can see how many people are using it, how many views per day. You can see that the 29th is a pretty busy day for this dashboard, etc. Now, a pretty cool thing that Siri showed me is that if I want to look at all of my dashboards instead of just this one, what you can do is actually go out and save this. So let's save this. now we can edit this report, and you'll see that what's happening is the team is going out and set a report level filter for this dashboard usage report to one specific dashboard. If I remove that, it actually should show me all of the dashboards that I have available inside of this app workspace. So if I go ahead and open up my dashboards and open up display name and drag it right there, you'll see that I actually have two different dashboards here. And I can see both of them actually listed out. There is the moral equivalent or the same exact thing for my report. So if I go ahead and open up a report, you'll actually see a usage metrics here. And again, who gets to see that is the owner of the report. So if I'm listed as an owner, I actually can go ahead and see this. Another nice place to find it I've found is pretty convenient is if I go ahead and go back into my view for all of the data itself or all of the assets in this app workspace, I can go to my reports just like I showed before, and I can actually run those usage reports from here. And just like the dashboard usage reports, I can save this, and I can edit it, and I can go ahead and remove this, and I can go out and bring reports. Oops, I need to bring the report names over, and you'll see that instead of just looking at one, I can now see, it says it's redraws, I can see two. Now, if you guys go out and do this, and you actually are not seeing your reports listed out, you should make a note that it may take 24 hours before you can actually see the usage data available. So if you're not seeing your report, don't fear. It's probably it hasn't been around long enough to actually generate that usage data. So that's the case for this one. Actually, I created these reports last night, and I'm not even seeing those reports yet, or there's no usage data for the reports itself. Okay, so that was a lot of data. Or a lot of information. Let's go ahead and go back into my dashboard. Oh, that's the data set. I want the dashboard or the report. And go back into service. Go back into the administrative features. I showed usage reporting. I showed usage reporting for both the reports and authors. It looks like I got some data redundancy here. My apologies. Enterprise controls. I showed you that. Power BI report server. I showed you that is now available. Apps. I actually already showed you apps. We published apps. Another nice thing that I didn't show about apps. Let's go ahead and take a look at the app itself for my Pug demo. Let's go ahead and show the fact that I'm going to go ahead and, I don't know, maybe move this. Oh, I need to edit it. And move this down. Okay, we'll move it there. So, why am I not moving? Okay, actually, let's do something that like the data colors. Make it purple. I'll make hue purple. It's not wanting to work for me today. Let's see. We'll give it one more shot. Purple. There we go. Okay, so that one's turning purple. Purple. Okay. So I got a couple purple ones. Now, even though I go ahead and save this, the people who are looking at those apps actually have the old view. So apps gives me a chance to go ahead and push out a set point in time of a no bid quantity. Let's say I called that last one with the blue and the black version 1. And with the purples, that's version 2. If I go out and take a look at my free user, and we go out and take a look at that data, they're still going to be looking at my version 1. It's not until, let's actually go ahead and go back into my apps themselves. Access, copy, free user, and you'll see that they have the old color theme, not the new color theme. As a matter of fact, they are looking at a dashboard itself. But if I go ahead and, what was that, a report that I was looking at? Let's see if I can look at this report. Anyways, you get the idea is that changes are not reflected back into my consumers of the app workspace itself until I hit update, much like content packs. So it gives me a good start. I'm actually doing application lifecycle management. Let's see if we can actually get them to look at the purple ones. Yeah, because they're looking at the dashboards. Okay, fair enough. I should have actually updated the dashboard. Going back into my report, I should probably look. Hi, my name is Siri. I'm a program manager. Yeah, so Siri is actually who owns all these features, guys. So if you see Siri actually answering question, I'm showing off his feature. Normally he does this presentation, and he actually let me do it today for him. So that's pretty cool for him, or for me actually. Okay, going back into the what's new for June, going back into the service, going back into the administration, we're actually at multiple file filter parameters. There is a great a video by a guy in the cube, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. We took a look at public apps. We got rid of that. We took care of that. Oh, so data refresh APIs. This one's pretty cool. It's been asked for on a regular basis, where instead of going out and being constrained to the refresh schedule set by the gateway itself, you can now run it through PowerShell or C#. So if I go ahead and click on this, you'll actually see the blog post that Siri did, who's actually online right now. And I can go out and look at all the code. So here's the sample code. This sample is in PowerShell. And what I have actually done, let's see if I can find my blog post, is shown what it takes to make this headless. Got a couple requests where they want to do it from inside of a report server job at the end. So after the report server, their analysis cube's been rebuilt, they then want to refresh their Power BI report. So that link, let me get you actually that link. It's actually not a race series presentation, but Charles Sterling blog. Sorry, I actually had this open, but it looks like I may have closed it. And here is actually how you run the refresh API in a headless environment. Okay, so back to here. Let's actually go back to the next one down. Announcing Power BI Premium. So I actually already demoed that, where I can go out and let people without licenses have access to all of the different data sources and all of my reports, and actually not contend with other people inside the service. Finally, the custom cache. Actually, this is about 2 months ago. So one of the complaints for people at Direct Query is that all of your visuals will go out and try and do near real-time updates of themselves. If each one of those has 2 connections, you can run out of connections and you can overload a backend real fast. And the custom refresh schedule lets you go for Direct Query and live connection. Say, I want you to only go out and get data at this frequency. Go ahead and set that. So Siri, once again, has done a great blog post on actually how you set that frequency interval for Direct Query. Okay, which kind of leads me to probably my favorite area. I came from the developer division, and what is new for developers. Now, some of these actually I have listed back in the admin features for the service, because these features themselves, like the refresh, the rebind, the upload of the PBIX, and setting the data source. Actually, I think I'm missing that one, so I need to do that. Will give you a big start on actually a feature that we're working on for you. So people want to go out and have like application lifecycle where they work in one workspace, update their stuff, and then copy it to a new workspace. So that way people who have that workspace shared see version 2 or version 3. Now, using these APIs of uploading a PBIX, resetting the data source, and resetting the push data source, you can actually do that yourself now in code, but we are actually working on that feature for you. What else was there going to be? Oh, I wanted to actually share with you, if you are a developer looking to use the brand new Power BI Embedded, so there is a brand new Power BI Embedded. There used to be the one that was built in Azure, and there was REST APIs that let you leverage the PowerBI.com services. They have now merged into a single namespace. So if you're using those going forward, one of the things that you have to do is you have to register your application in your Active Directory itself. So let's go ahead and open up Azure. Now, before I do that, let's actually back up, show you how you should be doing this. So you should be able to go to dev.powerbi.com/apps. And this is going to let you register your application. So I can go ahead and sign in. Now it knows which account, which tenant I was already in because it's already in this instance. And I can go ahead and say it's my app. And let's call it 123. Actually, I want to thank Brandon and Siri for helping out today. So we'll call it thanks, Brandon and Siri. We're going to make this a native app. So you're going to actually see the documentation on that. And you'll see that there are, what is that, 2, 4, 7 different permissions that you have access here. Now we've added some new ones. I want to show those to you. And I think actually I need a URL as well. So we'll just do it localhost so it works. And when I register this app, I get my client ID. Actually, go ahead and give it some permission. And this is required for doing Power BI Embedded. For a little while, you're going to need the Azure portal because some of the permissions that are required are new and we haven't added them into this experience yet. We should actually get that done next month. So very, very easy, very elegant. This is the way I'd recommend doing it. As soon as we actually get the other 3 permissions are required. What are those 3 permissions? Well, actually, let me show you. If I go to Azure Active Directory and I look at my applications, app registrations, we should actually find my, what did I just call it? App 123. Let's see. What was it called? Oh, thanks, Brendan. That's what it's called. Thanks, Brendan. Here it is. And under properties, you actually see the permissions. Where am I? Oh, required permissions. Sorry. And under the add, I can go ahead and take a look at the API, and I want to give it the access to look at the workspaces. So these are new. Come on. What am I not typing it right? There we go. Select. And oh no, it's not quite working right for me. Here we go. Power BI. Oh, here we go. Power BI service. It looks like it's already been set. So actually, let me go back, and I should be able to modify this. I don't know why it's not letting me modify it. There we go. I needed to click actually back here at this level. So here are the new ones. I can go out and do view all reports. I can go out and do create content, view content properties, add users data are actually some of the new ones that we've just added. At this point, I can go ahead and save it. I can grant those permissions. And that is the same thing as what I have actually done here, but there are checkboxes that are missing that aren't here. So to recap, we've actually added new permissions. We've added a whole bunch of new APIs that are going to let you do ALM tooling around your deployments for Power BI. And there are brand new permissions that until we actually add, you're going to need to use the portal for the time being. Next month, that will no longer be the case. Oh, I think that kind of runs me out of what I wanted to demo in a half an hour. So, the last one that I probably need to cover is that for the longest time, people wanted to create their own data connections itself inside of Power BI. And we've actually added a SDK for you to go out and write those in the M query language itself. So it's a big paradigm shift, but the make files and the projects are actually pretty self-explanatory. So if you've got cloud-hosted data, you want to do a custom connector for it, you positively can. Now, I've seen on our internal aliases a couple of times that people said that they wanted to go out and access REST endpoints and parse JSON, and they thought they needed to do a custom connector. That's not the case. So it's actually pretty easy to go out and access things like the Meetup REST endpoint, parse that JSON reports. You do not need to create a custom connector, but if you actually do want to have a commercial offering and make that available to the 5 million plus Power BI users, this is a great solution for that. So with that, I can't hear Siri and Brendan. So actually, let me see if I can chat with them and see if there's something I should talk out loud about or actually mention with the audio. So Siri, stand by. Anything I should close or reiterate? So I'm actually asking Siri if there's anything that we should mention in addition to what I covered. Otherwise, I'm going to wish you guys to have a great 4th of July if you're in the U.S. And if you are abroad, I actually hope you enjoy this beautiful weather that we're seeing here. So Siri's typing. So we're going to hang on just 1 second. Looks good. So I want to thank Brendan. I want to thank Siri. I want to thank all you guys who have joined us. And I apologize for actually rescheduling this a couple times. And once again, best wishes to Siva and his wife. I hope this surgery goes well. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys back in 2 weeks. We're restarting these webinars after the July 4th weekend. Thank you very much, guys. You have a great, great week.